Hey yogis, I hope you all can hear me, yeah? I am mic'd up, so it's difficult for me to know if the mic is working and sound is actually coming through, especially if no one is in the room. So I guess you can say that I'm taking a chance here because this video is going to be very short, so I don't know that any of you will have time to join in on what is going to be a super short live. Oh yes, I can keep it short. I'm not always long-winded. But I can be like my mentor, Paul Check. All right. So yesterday we did a great live on colonoscopies and whether or not they were prescribed. I believe that they are, but my opinion might change in the future. Who knows? That's the thing with life and with science and with just time, is that things can change. But for this here day, right now at this moment, I'm very much in agreement with the video that I posted up yesterday. If you have not seen it, please have a look. I think it was quite good and informative, and hopefully it will help. It will help you all make an informed decision. In the spirit of wanting to give you guys more information so you can, again, make informed decisions with full-on consent, which for some reason the establishment does not seem keen to be providing you. Am I wrong? You tell me. I don't know. Did you provide consent, fully informed consent on a decision that you may have made 3 or 4 years ago? Well, you didn't have all the information, so it's unlikely that you gave informed consent. And to be fair, the doctors and nurses that were applying said product, if you were picking up what I'm putting down, also had no idea what they were doing or what the fallout would be, because they got a bunch of blank inserts with no ingredient list, no possible side effects. But hey, mistakes happen. Neither here nor there, right? We're going to get into that whole debacle at a later date. I've been watching some videos and obviously paying attention to what's happening over there in the DC of Washington. And so, yeah, we definitely have things to chat about when it comes to health and how to protect, preserve, or better still, well, there's nothing better than preserving. So if you're not preserving, then at the very minimum, you're cultivating. Okay, your health. So I did promise those of you that watched my video yesterday that I would also drop one of these videos on mammograms and give you an insight as to the other side, because unfortunately your GP or your physician or whomever it is that you refer to for medical advice may not be inclined to give you the other perspective. And again, how can you form a well-rounded decision when you don't have all the information that makes up the entire circle, right? You need both sides, do you not? Otherwise, it's not well-rounded, it's just half. So you want a well-rounded experience, you want a well-rounded life. That's what we know to be balance, right? Is when things are, there's equal parts, yang and yin, masculine and feminine, hot and cold, right? You want there to be equal parts. You want to find the balance, and that tends to be where you find things like health, wellness, well-being, etc., etc. Love, forgiveness, faith, all sorts of things happen when you live in the middle there. So here's this video that I posted up on my IG quite some time ago. If you're unfamiliar with me on IG, please find me at AlkaliYogi.com. It's right there on my title, as you can see. And this video is very, very short because it's a reel. It's bite-sized, just the way you all like it, I think. And so I won't keep it long. Like I said, we're going to jump on and jump off this live very quickly. Here's the video to, again, give you another something to munch on, something to chew on.
Mammograms useful? For who? They're a billion-dollar business, and yeah, they're useful. They put shoes on my friends' kids. They do terrible harm. I recommend against mammograms as a screening practice. So does the Cochrane Collaboration, which is the most respected organization in the world for making.
By the way, the Cochrane organization is also the organization that last spring, was it, came out with their pretty firm science. Well, I won't say firm, but pretty substantial science where they had run enough, randomized blind tests, clinical studies to more or less prove that masks were muzzling us and were no good for us or our health, and they did nothing to protect people. And so, yeah, that's one of the many great revelations that we get from this agency, like the Cochrane Institute. But they are not above reproach, and they are not 100% clean, if you will, because they did accept a generous donation from a man named Gates. We'll leave it at that. And a significant contribution of 7 figures.
Recommendations like this. Cochrane says no mammograms. The U.S. Preventative Services Task Force says mammograms in women over 50 after thorough discussion with the physician about the benefits and risks, and the risks are overdiagnosis. If you screen 2,000 women with mammograms, you'll save one life. In the process, you diagnose somewhere between 5 and 50 women with breast cancer that would have never known they had breast cancer. They'd have never died of it. So you turn somewhere between 5 and 50 women to cancer victims in the process of saving one life. At the same time, you've caused somewhere between 600 and 1,000 of the 2,000 women to go through further testing and treatment because of this meddling. So do mammograms save lives? Rarely. Do they do harm? Always. Should they be done? No, not as a screening technique. Mammograms useful? For who?
Ooh, not as a screening technique. Interesting. So again, you're always going to have people who are going to be very dogmatic and are going to want to support the mainstream narrative and support the medical industrial complex. I understand you guys are out there and maybe you have a reason for that. Maybe it is you're just inclined to believe what these agencies that have also a history of being very corrupted and criminal in their behavior. Maybe you have it. Maybe you like to believe them, and that's fine. But if you're happy to take on a different perspective from people that don't have an incentive, a monetary incentive for giving you their side of the story, such as myself, or in this case, I'm assuming this gentleman, because those of us that are telling you that maybe you should pursue other avenues, we're not getting paid. No, we're not getting a payout from pharmaceutical companies. We're certainly not getting anything from the insurance companies. We are literally saying, take pause and take heed. First of all, think about preventative measures. I covered that yesterday. What could you be doing? You could be applying Paul Chek's 6 foundational principles, as we know them to be at the Chek Institute, which include, focusing on your nutrition, your hydration, your breath, your thoughts, what time you go to sleep, and whether you're getting enough movement and the style of movement that you need for your body. Is it stretching? Is it more HIIT? Is it more, not HIIT, excuse me, but is it more resistance training? What is it that you need? Overstanding these things. That's what a health coach is there for. That's what I am licensed to do, and that's what I practice. Women, we also have the ability to just palpate, right? And just feel around, the armpit area, underneath the breast, in and around the tissue, to look for anything that maybe is new or unusual to us, right? We should be doing that fairly regularly. Also mitigating stress, right? Reducing toxic load, what we're applying on our bodies, what we're putting on ourselves, the best that we can. Obviously, we can't control things like chemtrails or 5G towers, but what we can do, we'll do, right? For instance, I'm sitting to you on this live. I'm also grounding simultaneously. No, I'm not outside, but I have a grounding mat underneath my feet, as well as a harmonizing mat underneath my laptop to absorb a lot of this the EMFs and the constant dirty electricity and pollution that is around us, essentially making it so that we're living in a microwave, if you understand that, because it's creating too much stimulus and our cells are constantly vibrating. So there are other things that you could be doing, right? Just to be very, very clear, Western medicine is needed. We are grateful. Doctors are needed. Don't sit here and assume that I'm telling you that all doctors are evil and that this whole industry we should just turn our backs on them. Because I was very recently at urgent care. So, and I'm a health coach, but things happen. Life happens. Things come up. God forbid, unfortunate things happen in an instant, and you need medical care. Absolutely. Go to the doctor, go to urgent care. Do what you need to in order to keep yourself alive and safe. What I mean is save your life and limb at all costs. Don't be dogmatic and avoid Western medicine and medical technology. We absolutely need those things. It's just that there's so much that we could be doing when there's not an emergency, before we get to that point, right? So when you need it, it's there for you, and we give gratitude for that. However, we can also take accountability for ourselves and make better choices. Are you applying deodorant? Because that aluminum, a lot of those deodorants have aluminum that seeps into the breast tissue. If you don't think that that could be a contributing factor, then you're mistaken. All I can tell you is, just like colonoscopies, mammograms are overprescribed in this country, and we're not seeing a decrease in the incidence of breast cancer, nor are we seeing a decrease in the survivor, or sorry, an increase, I meant to say, not a decrease, an increase in the survivor rate of breast cancer victims. So the point I'm getting at is, we're simply putting way too much time and resources in the aftermath of, I've made X and Y decisions, or it could be genetic, because that's also a possibility. I'm not going to deny that. I don't want to forgo that. But what could we be doing to, again, help ourselves? Because apart from genetics, right, what you have is a gun that's not loaded. The genetics are the gun, yes, but if you load the gun with poor food and poor choices and stress, toxicity, pollution, remember, the best solution for pollution is what? Dilution, which is water. Drink more H2O. You could be doing things to prevent that from happening. That's why I'm not on board with people speaking about their bodies as though it's a ticking time bomb. It's the worst thing that you can say to yourself. You don't think your cells are listening? Oh, I've got to get this body part out. I'm going to cut my breasts off because breast cancer has been, linked in my family. Or I'm going to take out my uterus, yada, yada, yada. There's no junk DNA, ladies and gentlemen. There is simply no junk DNA. Everything has a purpose. If you're removing glands, or you're removing lymph nodes, or you're removing organs, there are grave consequences for that. And at times you will need to do that, of course, especially if things have deteriorated past a certain point. So what could we be doing to hold on to the things that we have and need? Because nature is not wasteful. Didn't give you anything that you don't need. Everything has a purpose. And everything also communicates, right? Every muscle speaks to a gland. Every gland speaks to a vertebra. Every vertebra speaks to a meridian line and a chakra, et cetera, et cetera. So they all marry each other because they're all necessary. The sum is much greater, right? The whole is much greater than each individual part, and you want to be as whole as possible. So hold on to all of your body parts, all of everything that you can, and take care of it for as long as possible. What can you be doing to take care of those things? Follow the 6 foundational principles as I've just listed them. Again, that's nutrition, hydration, thoughts, breath work, movement, and your sleep. These things matter and they count. And if you follow these things to a T, and if you don't know how to follow these things to a T, or how to tweak them so that they actually improve your well-being and your overall quality of life, again, reach out to a health coach. That's what we're here for. We're that in between, so that before you go to a doctor, you come to us, you take on the responsibility and the initiative to self-correct, to course change, right? The direction in which your life is going, to take accountability and control, and do for yourself. And then you'll need to go to the doctor less frequently. And then you'll live a longer, happier, fuller, more whole life. And what you'll find is you'll need to participate in less of this back and forth, which is over test for that, grab for this, take this test, go over here and get that taken out and have it looked at, and yada, yada, yada. You can avoid a lot of that because it puts you into this, as Dr. Sunil Dant, who I quoted yesterday on the video that I did regarding colonoscopies, you get into this sort of like matrix, or this wheel, right? He as a practicing doctor in the United States is letting you know that once you go down that path, you're going to stay there because they need to keep you there. They need to keep you as a returning client, because this is a capitalist economy. Well, as a trained economist, is not actually truly a capitalist economy in its truest sense, and in terms of its ideology. We are so far removed with that, with the number of monopolies and corporations that run everything. But we'll just, for the sake of this conversation, we'll pretend that we are still very much of that. The true theory of what capitalism is and how it's not really being practiced here is a conversation for another day, another channel, which I have now, called Love Lisa. If you want me to discuss that on my other channel, I can do. But for here, we're going to stick to health matters. And because health is so inextricably linked to now and intertwined to capitalism as it's applied here in this country, which is a very different kind of capitalism that I studied and learned as an econ major throughout university. Unfortunately, the incentive is how can I make the most amount of money at all times? You know what I mean? That really is the incentive. So I just wanted to leave you with that. I promised you it would be a short video. On that note, I hope you found that useful. Please comment. Please leave a note in the description box so I know how you feel about this, whether you found this informative or not, whether you're going to adhere to this or not, whether you're going to share this with your loved ones or not. And even if you're not, do me a solid, by please liking, by sharing, and by subscribing. Don't forget to turn on the notifications. Until the next time, get free and stay free. Bye.